Oh, let's don't waste any time. Let's get to John Samuel Shenker here, who it's a bye week for Auburn. Don't call it an off week because they'll do some work, but it looks like our hunting friend, at least he's outside with sunshine and trees. I don't know if he's hunting. It doesn't look like he's in a tree stand or anything.
Well, we'll see. We'll ask him.
No.
You're not in a tree stand?
No, I'm not in a tree stand. I'm in the backyard.
Oh, okay. That's close enough.
We're city guys. That's outdoors for us, man.
John Samuel Shenker with us each week on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. It is the next round presented by Bud Light. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch remind you, decide to ride. Before you ever take that first drink, have a plan in place. Decide to ride with Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. How needed is a bye week right now for this team?
I think it's pretty needed. Just really for injury purposes, we're very thin in some positions. And you kind of saw that on Saturday. Just, we're a lot of guys going down and things like that. That's what happens when you play in the SEC. You get, into the grind of the season is guys get nicked and bruised and some big injuries come up. So the bye week's huge for most teams, really. Just trying to get your guys back healthy. You really have 2 weeks to do that. So it's a really big piece, and you really want to take advantage of it.
What do you think the biggest problem with this offense is? And you guys came to life after being down 21-0, but it looks like it's getting a little bit better. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. But, the issue is just giving the ball to the other team. That's when you play on the road in the SEC, it doesn't matter if they're ranked or not. If you turn the ball over more than they do, you're not going to win the game. Or at least you give yourself a very slim chance to do so. And that's a problem that we had throughout the year, and that's what came up early in the game on Saturday. And then obviously special teams, we gave up one as well. So it's a big piece that we got to get fixed moving forward because we ran the ball really well in that game. Tank had a really good game. So it's just holding on to the ball, not giving opponents a chance to capitalize and giving them momentum.
Tell me what Robbie's doing better now from the first time he got to start to now. What has improved about him at quarterback and the offense as a whole?
Well, he just understands the offense better now, play calling and the huddle sequence and all of that. So he's starting to understand that a lot better, which is a big piece. That can be a lot for a guy that hasn't played a big game yet. So I think he's handled that a lot better now. Now it's more about managing the game in a better way, making smart decisions with the football, and doing the little things right.
John Samuel Shenker is with us, the Auburn tight end, on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. It is the next round presented by Bud Light, who reminds you to decide to ride. Before you ever take that first drink, Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light remind you to have a plan in place and decide to ride. There was a moment on the sidelines at the ESPN cameras call where Robbie Ashford and Tank Bigsby were having a heated exchange. I know those happen all the time on the sidelines. The sideline reporter said it was, something about who got the ball on the goal line, and Ashford was saying it doesn't matter who scores. All that aside, I thought it showed Ashford growing up a little bit. I mean, Tank's a veteran guy. You're a veteran guy, and Ashford's in there talking with him, but they go back out and everything seems fine on the field. From a novice, I look at that and say that's an example of Robbie Ashford growing up a little bit. Am I way off there?
Yeah, a little bit. I think you're right in that regard. I think he's grown up a little bit. But that it was more of a miscommunication with Robbie and Tank in that conversation. One guy meant one thing and the other guy thought he meant the other. So, but yeah, when we back out, there was no issues. The rest of the game, after the game, there's still none. So. But yeah, I think Robbie's maturing. There's still things that we need to work on as an offense and himself as well. Just being in the role that he's in and knowing that everyone's always watching and just being able to handle situations the right way. But he's done a good job of that. But I did think he grew up a little bit in that moment. So that is progress.
What was the message from Coach Harsin after the game going into the bye week?
Well, first it was to get healthy. That was a big piece. We got a lot of big pieces that are out right now or nicked and bruised. And then just focus on every day. There's something that we got to get better at each and every day. And on the offensive side is protecting the football. Our run game was good, but if we can protect the football, we give ourselves the best chance to win. So that is the first and foremost, the biggest thing that we got to do.
I got two questions here. I'll ask the positive one second. I'll go negative first, and feel free to pass, not answer if you want to. But I get texts, and I don't play on the team all the time about the coach's future. Do you get asked about it ever? Do friends text you? Do students text you? Does family text you? Have you heard anything about Coach Harsin and the coaching staff? Does that happen in your world?
I don't get it a lot, not really. My family doesn't really ever ask me about that. The only people that really ask me are guys in the locker room that might read some on Twitter and they ask me, but I haven't heard anything about it. Everybody's still very much into the season, so I haven't had any issues with it as of now.
And then the positive one is obviously your ultimate goal of being in Atlanta for an SEC championship game or something like that is over with. But there's still bowl eligibility possible if you guys win X number of games down the stretch. What are the reset goals when you're this far into the season on the bye week? What is the goal that you guys are playing for at this point? Is bowl eligibility something that you hang your hat on at this point?
Well, I think in order to be the best, finish the best possible way that we can, we have to focus on Arkansas and focus on being Arkansas. If we keep looking ahead to the rest of the season, we're not going to beat anybody because we're not focusing on anything. So I think the biggest thing that we can do is focus on Arkansas and Arkansas only moving forward. Now, the bye week, we get time to reset our brains and kind of step away for a second. So when we step back in the complex next week, it's time to go, and it's full blown to Arkansas, which I think is the biggest key. If we can just focus on that, focus on being one team at a time, we go out and we do what we need to do, then we'll put ourselves in position down the road to play in a bowl game.
Away from football, is there something that you have looked forward to doing in the bye week that you will get to do this week that maybe you wouldn't be able to do in a normal game week?
I'll wake up and watch game day on Saturday mornings. Sometimes I don't get to do that. I try to do that if we have a night game, but I enjoy growing up. That was a big thing for me and my dad. We wake up and watch game day. So on Saturday, I'll probably wake up and watch a little game day. Probably not watch a lot of games, just get away from it, but I'll probably try and watch game day on Saturday morning.
I know you guys were playing, so you didn't see it because you were coming right out of game day. You were the game right out of game day. But Coach Corso was back Saturday up in Knoxville, so that had to make you feel good, right? He had missed a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was happy to see it. Miss that guy. He's always a interesting time on game day. So yeah, I was happy to see him back.
All right, he is John Samuel Shenker, Auburn with a bye week. And then, as he mentioned, Arkansas up next for the Tigers. We always appreciate the time. Rest up this bye week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Take care. John Samuel Shenker on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Presented by Bud Light. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch remind you to decide to ride. Before you ever take that first drink, have a plan in place. That's how you decide to ride. A reminder from Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch.